Hey guys, happy Wednesday. First I want to start by saying thank you for Monday. A lot of you came to my Zoom meeting really prepared to talk, to read, to work. I know it was a quieter session because a lot of you, kept your microphones off and you couldn't really physically talk. But the work that you were turning in, your self-reflection, it really meant a lot to me in this crazy time in America right now. There are a lot of adults that aren't willing to read and to self-reflect and to write about their feelings. And to be honest, it's probably the only way that we're gonna make real change is if people can sit back and be like, how am I part of the problem? What are my feelings adding to the world and to our communities, right? So I don't want to stop that work. What I was seeing was great. Some people sent pictures. I love it. So I'm going to try to open a session. It will be every Saturday from now into the school year. We're going to keep building on the lessons in this book. So you guys were able to do the first one, and we're going to do these two this weekend. It's open to anyone, so if you want to bring like a family member, a cousin, a friend, and invite them to the Zoom session, you are welcome to do that. Okay, so this Saturday it will be at 10 a.m. I know that's really early, but there is a protest in Philadelphia at noon that I am considering attending, so I would like to be free by noon. So 10 a.m. I'll post a link if you want to continue having these discussions and, just kind of push yourself to do some self-reflection and some work, which I need to be doing. So I'm going to do it either way. Anyway, so yesterday, a lot of you were also messaging asking why we didn't have class. I really pushed you to look up information about the blackout and see, what that meant in the US. I hope, you also were not posting on social media. I hope you were trying to take some time to read what you could. I definitely helped to try to find some families that their local grocery stores are not able to be open right now, and tried to provide some families with food and resources. I am still looking for cleanup efforts. So again, if you know a business or a store or a street that needs help right now, that is needing things cleaned up, that is needing stuff boarded up, please send a message my way. Again, I'm gonna be in Trenton every day this week. So yesterday was a day of like learning and service, and also just a day to actually process what is happening. A lot of times people just push through these events and go to work and go do their regular things. As a country, we need to stop, pay attention to like how we're feeling, check in on the people in our lives that are impacted, and really make sure we're being there for each other right now. So I hope yesterday was useful for you, and I hope you didn't just stay and play video games all day. I hope you tried to find at least one resource that you could use. If you have found something that's helpful, please, put it in the comments, send me a link if it's a video you'd like me to watch. If you need resources, there's a lot of movies you can be watching and books you can be reading, and I have no problem, physically bringing you some books if you would like that. All right, I've talked for like 5 minutes. I want to make sure that this video is under the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to keep going. Thursday, you guys were able to read aloud 85 to 88, or you watched the video and you answered numbers 1 and 2. Today we're going to read pages 89 to 92, and we're going to answer number 3 and 4 and our exit ticket. Okay, so hopefully you're going to pause the video here and make sure you study your vocab as well. Oh, I'm just kidding. You don't have to study your vocab because you took a quiz on these words last week. We don't have any new words this week, so scratch that. No words. All right. So we're gonna start to read we're gonna start to read 89 to 92. So I'm opening the text right now, and I'm scrolling all the way down to 89, which is where we left off. I'm trying to remember because it was so long ago. We actually left off on 88, so they brought Ponyboy into the house and he kind of just passed out from being in the hospital. The two questions we're listening for are, what does manslaughter and self-defense mean, using context clues? You may definitely look up these in Google, like to find them, but I want you to tell me how do you know that those words mean what they mean based on the text. All right, so is it a synonym, an antonym, explanation, or example? Remember, we use that chart throughout the year. So in the sentence, how do you know that manslaughter and self-defense mean these different things? How has the problem gotten worse is our other question. And then our exit ticket is, why does the author use the phrase juvenile delinquents, okay, to describe the boys? And that's it for today. So pretty much like 3 questions. All right, I was the first one up the next morning. Soda must have pulled my shoes and shirt off me. I was still wearing my jeans. He must have been too sleepy to undress himself, though. He lay stretched out beside me, fully clothed. I wiggled out from under his arm, and I pulled the blanket up over him. Then I went to take a shower. Asleep, he looked a lot younger than going on 17, but I had noticed that Johnny had looked younger when he was asleep, too. I figured everyone did. Maybe people are younger when they sleep. After my shower, I put on some clean clothes and I spent 5 minutes or so hunting for a hint of beard on my face and mourning over my hair. The bum haircut made my ears stick out. Derry was still asleep and I went to the kitchen to fix breakfast. The first one up has to fix breakfast and the other 2 have to do the dishes. That's a rule in our house. And usually it's Derry who fixes breakfast and me and Soda who are left with the dishes. I hunted through the icebox and found some eggs. We all like our eggs done differently. I like them hard, Derry likes them in bacon and tomato sandwich, and Soda Pop eats his with grape jelly. That's disgusting. Never eaten my eggs with jelly. All 3 of us liked chocolate cake for breakfast. Mom had never allowed it with ham and eggs, but Derry and let Soda and me talk him into it. We really didn't have to twist his arm. Derry loves chocolate cake as much as we do. Soda Pop always makes sure that there's some in the icebox every night, and if there isn't one, he cooks one up real quick. I like Derry's cakes better. Soda Pop always puts too much sugar in the icing. I don't see how he stands jelly on his eggs and chocolate cake all at once, but he seems to like it. Derry drinks black coffee, and Soda Pop and I drink chocolate milk. We could have coffee if we wanted, but we like chocolate milk. All 3 of us are crazy about chocolate stuff. Soda says if they ever make a chocolate cigarette, I'll have it made. Anybody home? A familiar voice called through the front of the screen, and Two-Bit and Steve came in. We always just stick our heads into each other's houses and holler, hey, and walk in. Our front door is always unlocked in case one of the boys is hacked off at his parents and he needs a place to lay over and cool off. Yeah, this is definitely, I feel like a lot of people can relate, right? Maybe you have that one house, that one friend, that one family member, right? That you could just like walk in the house and nobody cares. I had a friend that they had like a garage with like a code to open it, and the family just like gave me the code and I could come in and out, you know, whenever I wanted. And that's a really cool feeling to have. It's like family, right? So I think this is Two-Bit that's coming in. We never could tell who we'd find stretched on the sofa in the morning. It was usually Steve, whose father told him about once a week to get out and never come back. It kind of bugs Steve, even if his old man does give him $5 or $6 at the end of the day to make up for it. Or it might be Dally, who lived anywhere he could. Once we found Tim Shepard, the leader of the Shepard gang, and far from his own turf, reading the morning paper in an armchair. He merely looked up and said hi, and he strolled out without staying for breakfast. Two-Bit's mother warned us about burglars, but Derry, flexing his muscles so that they bulged like oversized baseballs, drawled that he wasn't afraid of any burglars. and he didn't really have anything worth taking. He'd risk a robbery, he said, if it meant keeping one of the boys from blowing up and robbing a gas station or something, so the door was never locked. "In here," I yelled, forgetting that Derry and Soda Pop were still asleep. "Don't slam the door." They slammed the door, of course. Two-Bit came running into the kitchen. He caught me by the upper arms and swung me around, ignoring the fact that I had 2 uncooked eggs in my hand. "Hey, Pony Boy," he cried gleefully, "long time no see." You would have thought it was 5 years instead of 5 days that I'd seen him last, but I didn't mind. I liked Two-Bit. He was a good buddy to have. He'd spun me into Steve, who gave me a playful slap on my bruised back, and he shoved me across the room. One of the eggs went flying. It landed on a clock, and I tightened my grip on the other one so that it crushed and ran all over my hand. "Oh, look what you did," I griped. There went our breakfast. "Can't you two wait till I set the eggs down before you shoved me all over the country?" I really was a little mad because I just realized how long it had been since I'd eaten anything. The last thing that I'd eaten was that hot fudge sundae in the Dairy Queen in Windricksville, and I was hungry. Two-Bit was walking in a slow circle around me, and I sighed because I knew what was coming. "Man, dig Baldy here." He was staring at my head as he circled me. I wouldn't have believed it. I thought all the wild Indians in Oklahoma had been tamed. What a little squaw got this tough-looking mop of yours, Pony Boy. Wow. So that was a really ignorant and racist sentence, but Two-Bit is basically making a joke that Native Americans, you know, used to scalp or take people's hair, right? If they had killed somebody, right? But they're saying somebody took Pony Boy's hair. Like, who took your hair? You're bald now. Yikes. That's not good. "Oh, lay off," I said. Wasn't feeling too good in the first place. Kind of like I was coming down with something. Two-Bit winked at Steve, and Steve said, "Why, he had to get a haircut to get his picture in the paper. They never believe a greasy-looking mug could be a hero." "How you like being a hero, Big Shot?" "How do I like being what?" "Being a hero, you know." He shoved the morning paper at me impatiently, like a big shot even. I stared at the newspaper. On the front page, in the second section, was a headline: "Juvenile delinquents turn heroes." Alright guys, so if we want to take some notes on this, so you know what to put in your exit ticket, it's going to be page 90. Juvenile just means like you're younger, right? If we just type it into Google, juvenile means for or relating to young people. So usually like under the age of 18, it just means like a young person, a child, a teenager. Delinquent is a tendency to commit crime, right? So a young criminal, that's what juvenile delinquents means, turn heroes. So the author uses those phrases in this newspaper article to show us that even though they have done something bad, right, the world is seeing their actions as good. They saved these kids, right? They're trying to show that these killing somebody but saving people, you know, they're two different perspectives on Pony Boy and Johnny at this point. They did something bad in society, but they're also doing something good. So people are having mixed feelings about these two, Johnny and Pony. Should they go to jail? Should they be punished for their actions? Was it self-defense? All right. What I like is the turn bit. Two-Bit said, cleaning the egg off the floor. Y'all were heroes from the beginning. You just didn't turn all of a sudden. And Two-Bit's right. They killed this Soch because they were protecting themselves. They weren't bad guys. Johnny was trying to save Pony Boy's life, right? There was nothing in that situation he could have done. They were outnumbered. They were drowning Pony Boy. So Two-Bit's right. The newspaper is making them seem like they suddenly chose to be good people, when in reality, they were probably good all along. I hardly heard him. I was reading the paper. The whole page was covered with stories about us, the fight, the murder, the church burning, the Sochas being drunk, everything. My picture was there, with Derry and Soda Pop. The article told about how Johnny and I had risked our lives by saving those kids, and there was a comment from one of the parents who said that they would have burned to death if it wasn't for us. It told a story about the fight with the Sochas, only it didn't say the Sochas because most grown-ups don't know about the battles that go on between us. They interviewed Cherry. She said that Bob had been drunk and the boys were looking for a fight when they took her home. Bob had told her that he'd fix us for picking up his girl. His bud, Randy Adderson, who had helped lump us, also said that it was their fault and that we had only fought back in self-defense, but they were charging Johnny with manslaughter. Okay, so I would definitely look that up, and the context clues is explanation, right? With a couple sentences right before manslaughter tell us what Johnny did, right? So take a second, if you want to pause the video and look up manslaughter. You can just copy and paste it right from page 91. All right, the other phrase is in here too on page 91, self-defense. So I would copy it and Google it. And then at the bottom, we're gonna say, we know this through explanation. The author is explaining to us how Johnny defended himself and Ponyboy. The author is showing us that manslaughter was, I'm not gonna give you the answer to that because you can just Google manslaughter. All right. The last question we have to answer then is like, how is the problem getting worse? And let's see if we have a clear answer by the end of this couple pages. So we're on 91, we just need to get to 92. But they were charging Johnny with manslaughter. Then I discovered that I was supposed to appear in juvenile court for running away, and Johnny was too if he recovered. Not that if again. Why do they keep saying if? For once, there weren't any charges against Dally, and I knew he'd be mad because the paper made him out to be a hero for saving Johnny. Didn't say much about his police record, which I know he's proud of. He'd kill those reporters if he got a hold of them. There was another column just about Derry and Soda and me, about how Derry worked 2 jobs at once and made good at both of them, and about his outstanding record at school. It mentioned Soda Pop dropping out of school so that we could stay together, and that I made honor roll at school all of the time and I might be a future track star. Then it said that we shouldn't be separated after we'd worked so hard to stay together. The meaning of that final line finally hit me. You mean, I swallowed hard. Did they think about putting me and Soda in a boys' home? Steve was carefully combing back his hair in swirls. Something like that. I sat down in a daze. We couldn't get hauled off now. Not after me and Derry finally got through to each other. And now that the big rumble was coming up, and we would settle this Soch greaser thing once and for all. Not that. When Johnny needed us and Dally was still in the hospital and wouldn't be out for the rumble. No, I said it out loud, and Two-Bit was scraping an egg off the clock and turned to stare at me. No what? No, they ain't gonna put me in a boys' home. Don't worry about it, Steve said, cocksure that he and Soda Pop could handle anything that came up. They don't do things like that to heroes. Where's Soda and Superman? That was as far as he got, because Derry, shaved and dressed, came in behind Steve and lifted him up off the floor, and then he dropped him. We called Derry Superman or Muscles at one time or another, but one time Steve made the mistake of referring to him as all brawn and no brain, and Derry almost shattered Steve's jaw. Steve didn't call him that again, but Derry never forgave him. Derry had never really gotten over not going to college. That was the only thing that I ever seen Soda mad, the only time I've ever seen Soda mad at Steve. Although Soda attaches no importance to education, school bored him, no action. Soda came running in. Where's that blue shirt I washed yesterday? He took a big swig of the chocolate milk out of the container. Hate to tell you, buddy, Steve said flat on the floor, but you have to wear clothes to work. There's a law or something. Oh yeah, Soda said. Where's those jeans too? I ironed there in my closet, Derry said. Hurry up, you're gonna be late. Soda ran back muttering, I'm hurrying. Steve followed him in a second, and there was a general racket of a pillow fight. I absent-mindedly watched Derry as he searched the icebox for chocolate cake. Darius said suddenly, do you know about juvenile court? Without fuming, to look at me, he said evenly, yeah, the cops told me last night. I knew that he had realized we might get separated. I didn't want to worry him anymore, but I said, I had one of those dreams last night, the one I can't ever remember. Darius spun around to face me, genuine fear on his face. What? All right, we're gonna stop here. Sorry that this went about 4 minutes too fast, too long. Again, if you want to come hang out on Saturday, please let me know. If you have anything within your community that you think I should know about, please send me information. And I'm here all day if you need my help. All right, bye guys.